I'm confused, but not that confused. Maybe we'll say it differently. But you directed me to reminded me of when I said, look, part of this thing about like if people are watching the TV news, like, then it's part of why people don't live in reality, but in a way that's alarming. Same with the universities and look who's teaching there. But when you directed me over to that show about marijuana, the thing is this: that like part of what happened when the comment, but I'll only say it a little differently. The comment that was an intelligent comment just to see what they meant, which is that like when the Lautner thing happened and everyone came to the most ridiculous conclusions, but it was obvious what had happened to some extent, which was that they were mentioning, which is that there was a kid who was like sort of like had a high IQ, was a nice kid, and was like becoming awake economically and politically, and did a little agitating in class and was like pushed out of the school until he had to go to a psychiatrist. Okay, he discovered like wait, well he probably didn't. He probably thought what a lot of you think. Maybe get the teacher's respect. Should he's like reading Foucault. Turns out he's thrown out of school. Okay, but what happened? Why did the kid go psycho? And the thing is like what this there's a magazine that talks about the cultural crisis. Part of the problem is what they made sort of a comment. They said, I don't know where everyone's getting all their conclusions about this kid from. The only thing we could say that's negative at the moment is it seems like he was a pothead, but we don't have any other comment. And right now, at this time when no one knows anything, but what they were sort of getting at was this. You see, when you have young people going to universities where the teachers there don't live in reality, where they have who could and they're watching the news, it's thinking this is like there's nothing wrong with what this is, and the parents don't live in reality. The news magazines, everything. No one here lives in reality. Okay, so but you have people like young people trying to become awake politically, economically, looking at different information, reading books, but what they're not ready for, in some sense, like they're not psychologically equipped to discover people don't live in the entire society doesn't live in reality, including the people teaching at the universities. But the problem is if you're young and you're like the young and you're like you smoke pot on the weekends and you're like an average the way young people are, you're not equipped to discover such a thing. So you're gonna get going. It's gonna keep. That's what the magazine also says. This is gonna keep happening to people like young people. That's gonna go psycho left and right because they're not ready to find out what older people are aware of. A lot of older people are aware of. Yeah, the whole country and the universities and the people teaching there and the whole generation called the baby boom. They literally don't live in objective reality. And what's on this TV doesn't even really make any sense. The only way you could watch such news if you were unaware of reality and unaware of what you were hearing, and something had to happen to your ability to integrate information. Okay, see here's or to think or to live in reality. But the problem is young people are going to be going psycho left and right, and there's already been a number of things. That Lautner thing being a really kind of clear example of such a thing, because like everyone's like, I don't know what happened. Like, he's really smart. He's reading all these books. He works at an animal shelter. But why did he was getting thrown out of school, sent to psychiatrist over nothing. But what he was bumping up against is like the teacher doesn't know what he's talking about because the teacher doesn't live in reality and watches this. So you get a kid, but it's a kid. He's more, and like he's the home can't believe it's happening. Like, no one lives in reality. Like, right? It's an alarming thing to find out when you're trying to take seriously becoming awake politically, economically. Probably because smart kids know like that's how you become an adult. But you're not ready to find out. Like this kind of TV news. It's a very sophisticated, very sick form of propaganda that basically just you might as well just be watching. I mean, it's a sick way. It's very sick to describe the way in which this isn't real. But no one here lives in reality. But the problem is, like, if you're like if you're young, you like smoke a pot, and you're like the regular type of thing, like no one's gonna psychologically be able to handle how deep a realization this is. Like the whole population doesn't live in reality. Right, and you get a lot of young people going psycho, getting locked in mental wards. That's the consequences of this being this way, and the educators not living in reality. That's the problem. What we were saying. But if you're older, you like can cope with it or something. But I mean, because you're older and you're like dealt with it longer or whatever. Well, you have enough of a grip on what is true. You've done it. You've learned more, so you're like more. You're not that concerned. Look at that. No one lives in reality. There's an emergency. 911. But I mean, if you're young, they have a lot of young people flipping out and being either in locked units or going on like like what happened to the kid, or just a lot of young people going psycho, and it's not safe now in the country for a lot of people psychologically when this is going on.